Wine School.
Hey friends, thank you for tuning into Wine School 420. Checking out a Stolpman wine today. If you're not familiar, Stolpman Vineyards is at this point a pretty established natural wine institution in Santa Barbara, or outside of Santa Barbara, I guess. I've never actually visited the tasting room, but they've definitely made a big push in recent years. You see it in a lot of places, and what's cool about it is that they really are making like pretty affordable entry-level wines. They have some stuff that gets more expensive, but it's accessible, and they seem to be making pretty large quantities. Doesn't say it on here. I try not to read too much about these wines, especially the ones the individual wines I haven't tried yet. Try to come in with a little bit more of like a unbiased palate. So this is an interesting wine. And, I mean, even if I didn't tell you, you can see that this is an orange wine, literally and technically. Briefly, just orange wines in general, I imagine them, or you can think of them as the red wine of white wine. You would think of rosé as the white wine of red. Orange is white wine made in a style of red wine. Now this is a little bit more complicated because there's actually some red grapes and some dark-skinned, technically white grapes in this wine. So it's kind of a perfect choice for making orange wine, but it's confusing that they are adding 20% of Mourvèdre. So this is 54% of the grape Orange Muscat, 26% Pinot Gris, which is it's Pinot Grigio, but it has its color to the skin. That's something it's known for, and Mourvèdre. So you're making this, which is only 50% of technically white grapes. The other 50% is Pinot Gris, which is hybrid sort of looking, and then 20% red wine. So you're leaving the skins on when you're fermenting this juice, or at least for a while after you press it. You're really getting a brilliant color. Just for a little bit more talk before I actually analyze the wine, this is another example, kind of like the sweet berry wine idea, where there are these California producers that are really focusing on blending their natural wines. This was $23. I got this at Pine and Crane, which is a really great local Taiwanese restaurant in Silver Lake, and they're offering bottles of wine to go with your order. $23 at a restaurant, even though it was for takeaway. That's a good deal, and this seems to be a very drinkable wine. So I'm pretty stoked about that. But it's one way to achieve that as a winemaker is to not be too fussy about your provenance, where you're sourcing your fruit, and you also can't be too worried about making a wine that is a single site, single grape product. Or when you do that, that's why those things get expensive. So on one hand, I want to take a break, have a bite of this food. I made this pasta. I thought this would pair well together because I put a little bit more of these little peppers in this than I meant to, and it got kind of spicy. Hold that thought. Okay, like on the one hand, make wine that's delicious. That's your job. I think I'm fully behind that. But one thing that I have enjoyed about natural wine and sort of handmade wine is that it's this sort of hyper localized. It has been a focused, usually a single grape or a single site kind of thing. You think of the farmer working a small plot of land and making this wine in a natural way and selling it quickly. You don't have to worry about preservatives. This is, what happens when you kind of expand and you get big. There's a lot of pressure to keep prices affordable, and one way to do that is to have the luxury of blending. 54% Orange Muscat is a very specific number. If you think about why didn't they put 60 or 70% Orange Muscat for this orange wine? Well, it was probably missing something. It's probably pretty aromatic, but probably had too much acid. They're adding Mourvèdre, 20% in here. That means they needed something probably to give it mouthfeel, maybe more texture. Pinot Gris is just kind of like fun and fruity, and also I'm sure added to the color. So you're really getting, again, like I said about the sweet berry wine, it's a product. Not, of course, all wine is a product, but it's a, it's science rather than art, if I dare say so. Pretty mellow aroma. And this is not just like the orange color playing tricks on me. There's this citrusy presence here. Very, very mellow. Yeah, like a little bitter citrus pith smell. Not getting a whole lot else. There's like a hint of like it wants to show some kind of pretty sweet fruit on the nose, but just barely perceptible. Maybe like a hard candy, like a lemon Jolly Rancher. A little bit more viscous and like dense than I had expected, which I think is nice. You can see the tears on here. They're still there. This is a wine with presence on the palate, but still only 12.5% alcohol. Again, this is like a product. Like Stolpman knows what they're doing. In case you don't know these words, I'm saying Stolpman Vineyards. You see on the back there. Santa Barbara County. That's tasty. I'm gonna take a bite of food, come back to it. Hold on. Yeah, I'm a little thrown off by the smell. Like, it's pretty neutral. But I was talking about the palate. Don't be scared by my saying that there's viscosity here. I think it makes this a good wine. Like, and my expectation was correct that having pasta, you treat orange wines really like you would treat a red wine. I think more than a white, because there's texture, there's complexity. So many times, you'll go to I'd go to a natural wine bar. Half of the orange wines that I'm being offered, or when I get it, sometimes they're kind of a little jarring, either high in acid or very fruity. This is right down the middle. I could easily sip this by itself, but that's because they're sort of culinary wines. They're screaming to come to a meal and make it better. So I really like the drinkability of this wine. Real citrus presence, maybe like a barely ripe pear flavor. Some texture. I would hesitate to even call it tannin, but there's like a little bit of a lingering texture. Acid is medium or medium plus. Medium, a little more than medium body. It's weird. It's only 12.5% alcohol, but it feels a little hot still somehow. I'm a fan. I'm gonna give this a thumbs up, especially for value. Like, I would expect this to be more expensive, just for the sort of well-rounded. It's not too extreme on the acid side. It's not too extreme on the texture or fruit side. It's pretty drinkable, really enjoyable with a meal or without. Stolpman did the damn thing. Thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Talk soon.